Okay, people. So, just checked out The Whisper of Silence, right? Thanks to the great people at Alternative Current who hooked this up. So, yeah, this is the feature directorial debut from Alfonso Quijada, Quijada, maybe. Probably butchered it. He also wrote the film. The film is produced by Andy Hodgson and Quijada. It is executive produced by Jose Robles and Adolfo Salamu Ataruno. Associate produced by Usman Ghani. Music is from Daniel Velasco. Andy Hodgson also is on cinematography. Andreas Parras edits the piece. Production design is from Lourdes Sandoval. Adriana Portillo is on art direction. Costume design is Andrea Tigueros. Monica Alfaro and Guadalupe Alea are on makeup and hair. Production management is William Barraza and Katia Villacorta. And our cast. Well, Josefina Moreno is played by Laura Osma. Um, doo, 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 sh- Her brother Carlos is played by Carlos Ali Lagas. No, Carlos isn't her brother, actually. No, Carlos is um a friend. Well, he works at a plantation. Yes. Her brother is Miguel. No, her brother, Jesus Christ. Her brother is Alfredo. Yes, who is played by William Castillo. Okay. There is also her best friend Dahlia, played by Emmy Mina. Um, we've got Don Gilberto Arana, played by Ferdinando Gavria. There's Mauricio Campos, played by Juan Carlos Vélez. There's Cianora Ortiz, played by Alicia Chung. Juez, played by Luis Balbireria. Sofia Delgado, played by Ali Mator. Donna Maria, played by Mercy Flores. David, played by Anthony Hernandez. Okay, so the gist of the film is this, right? We follow Josefina Moreno, a coffee picker with a unique sense of smell and ambitions to follow her passion and become a coffee taster. Despite being traumatized and living in fear following a violent incident in her recent past, the young woman begins to learn all about the coffee tasting craft with the help of her godmother, who has taken in Josephine and her brother Alfredo after the death of their mother. But with Alfredo having given up school and falling in with two local hoodlums, trouble arises when the trio devise a plan to rob a mansion, and their reckless actions may put an end to Josephina's dreams. So yes, that's the film, right? And it is for his directorial debut, this is a really, solid offering, I would say, from Alfonso Quijada. Uh, I think because this film is kind of couched around um, abuse against women, right? At the end of the film, there is text that comes up talking about, the numbers and the impact and what this does, right? And as you're watching it, you understand that's a big focus of this. We have, because we don't really see what happens. There's flashes, and you basically, right? But we don't really see it, which, you know, it's one of those things where, you don't necessarily have to see that, right? But even with what we do see, that's harrowing enough. You know what I mean? That leaves a mark, right? And the film starts with Josefina and Alfredo coming home. So something has happened, and she's in her room or in the bathroom. She's in a room, and we see her looking at the mirror, and there's just blood on her top, and she kind of her dress is ripped, and she takes her dress off, and she's just standing there in her underwear looking at the mirror, just holding herself. And it's like that scene, you know what I mean? As I said, we don't see a lot, but what we do see, it leaves an impact, right? And you get a sense of this horrible thing, just horrendous thing. So we have that, and then the film kind of goes on, right? We understand that their mother is dead, and we're getting an insight into Josephine and what she's trying to do, right? But she's just working in the plantation picking coffee, but she's curious about coffee tasting. She sees it. Now, there are things that are said later on in the film that I don't think are necessary. Like, you wouldn't have known unless it's said, even though I feel it's one of those things that could have been portrayed, right? Which would have given you this greater, I think, sense of who Josephina is and her abilities. But we kind of find that out later on. But I think where this film really does shine, I mean, we've got these incredible performances because, boy, the performance of Laura Osma is so good, like so good. She manages to display everything, all of these little micro expressions, all of these flashes of fear, anxiety. That's all there. It's all there, really handled very well, right? I mean, she also, just, I think, gives you a bit of an insight, right? Obviously, these things are different for everyone. And, so many women are affected so many different ways. But we do get a little bit of an insight into what this is doing, right? The ramifications of this incident, right? Just the sound of things makes her flinch. different noises, being touched, right, being approached, just all of these things, the way she communicates with men, right? All of this, you can see it's had this effect. And Uzma does this fantastic job of bringing this to life, right? The performances from the other cast members as well, you know, really well done. Her friend, Dahlia, played by Emmy Mina, is just a very well done performance. Juan Carlos Villas as Mauricio, Fernando Galveria as Don Gilberto Arana. No, the film is littered with these really good performances. You know, it's set in El Salvador, so it's very scenic, right? And that is used very well in bringing this story to life, you know? So all of that is really done very well. Like, there may have been, possibly better ways of showing the coffee tasting, especially after like the first thing, just so you could get a sense of what she may be smelling and experiencing. Well, I think that comes, right? That comes with the more films that you make and direct and are a part of. But it's not like, and I say Osmo is very expressive, so we get that, that's done well. But I think there's parts of the story that which you're not quite, I think could have been fleshed out a little bit more, just so you have a better maybe understanding of her situation. Not the attack necessarily, but the living situation, the financial situation, like how all of this is, you know um as I think then that would make certain things that happen later on, like you'd understand how big that thing might be, you know I mean, you can guess, right? You can definitely guess, but I think it would help the story with just that little bit extra. Maybe something around, right? Because you get an idea because it's like her brother's going to school, she's not going to school, right? So it's just that inequality, right? The cultural perception between boys and girls. This could have been brought home maybe a little bit, right? The abuse on women, right? Because we get this thing at the end, but it's just like it's not really talked about in the film. So why is that? Right? Has something happened in the past and people been ignored? Like, what is this thing? Right? Which then I think can help you. Because look, I think when you know about this kind of stuff, you understand, but there's a lot of people that don't. Right? So I think maybe bringing that kind of stuff to light would help the film as well, and just the understanding of the viewer of the film. So yeah, it's not perfect, right? But I think it is handled very well, for a first time feature director, you know. And one good thing about it's an El Salvadorian film, the first to get a big release in the UK. So, that's a huge feat, right? It's subtitled, which yeah, it took me so long to watch this friggin' film, man. Oh my days. Oh my days. Right? And it's 90 minutes. It took me a lot longer than that. Luckily, though, the subtitles were larger, a little bit larger than normal, I would say. And they were on a solid black background at the bottom of the screen, which made it definitely a lot easier, to perceive what's being said. So that, I have to give them props for doing it like that, because a lot of people, even big Hollywood films, do not do that. So yes, they got that right for sure. But the film is going to be released on all of your favorite streaming, well, video on demand platforms. And something it did remind me of. Now, they're different films, but there was a film, Beyond the Bayou, the Banyan, so Beyond the Banyan Tree, right? We looked at it last. I feel it was it last year? I think it was last year. Yeah. Um, Kathy, Kathy. Oh my days, Kathy Chu, Kathy, I think was in it. It's a very good film, and completely different storylines, but very both kind of encased in their cultures and giving you that insight. So I did get like just reminded of that watching this. So I will say, if you like that kind of film, then yes, The Whisper of Silence will definitely be for you. But it's out on Monday, So yeah. Um, you know, find it on all your favorite VODs, people. There's a link for the Apple um on the website. So go check it out. Yeah, I think I think it will resonate. I think it will touch people. But yeah, there's definitely some uncomfortable moments in the film, so definitely be aware of that. But it is a very powerful story. Okay, The Whisper of Silence.